Hello, Alfred. So today we have quite a special episode of this series, and Joaquin has been making quite a lot of progress here on this pool room, and I've been making also a lot of progress on my as well. But before I show you Joaquin's progress on the pool section, I wanted to discuss a little bit about the changes that we made to the workflow in this room in particular, just so you get an idea of what's going on. So, the idea with this room is that it's quite different from the others because it's mostly composed of, this sort of repeatable, tileable patterns and materials, and it's also not something that can be quite turned into a modular asset as much as the others. Like usually we build things like you have a little floor piece, a little wall piece, and so on, and then we just stitched everything together. But for this room, I wanted to ask Joaquin to try doing something different and using a workflow that's more based on tileable materials. So, what I asked him to do is to build this entire level in stages. The first stage was to try to make a block out of, just like gray box, the entire thing. Then second stage is to try to texture most of it and with tileable materials. And then after that, another stage will be to, just add all of the details and like props, like this little thing here, these guys here, the chairs and the cables and whatever. And then there will be one last stage of polish, which will be adding damage and just general, like decals with damage and all of these things. And maybe we can replace a chunk of the ground tiles with another that's broken and different things like that. So, how far did Joaquin manage to get to? Well, actually, really, really far. He made the layout, and he already started making several materials and applying them, and he's got really far. Actually, I'm really happy with his progress here. So as you can see, well, this is a placeholder. It will be a ladder eventually. But as you can see, he's been working on the pools, and he's also been making these rather nice materials for it. And here's another example, and I really like how he managed to achieve this circular pattern here, which is observed on the concept art as well. And then we have this chunk, and I asked him to try to smooth these transitions for the next time. I think I'm not sure which way we'll go. We'll try both, but I don't know. I think that maybe it will look nicer if it's smoother. But in general, this is the main area. So the idea is that you get in through this door here, and then back here we'll have a little office room. And my idea is that I want him to just to build, like the wall, ceilings, and whatever, but not really fill it with props. And I was hoping that we might be able to fill this out by just reusing props from different rooms that we made in the past, and just fill that out. And here there's going to be a locker room. So here you have, like these benches to change, and here we have some lockers, which I guess we can just recycle the ones that we had before. And here's going to be like showers with, like little curtains and whatever. And then here, I added an extra room, which is going to be the pump room for the pool. I thought that it will be a nice addition to have. And I actually made a concept for it. It's quite simple, but here it is. It's so this is kind of the idea for what I had for it. So you're going to have this sort of bridge in the center, and you'll have these machines on the side, and also underneath there's going to be like pipes and things that connect them, and you'll be able to see them below you. And of course, I would like to animate this, to make them like move and sort of shake. That's the word I was looking for. So just to make them feel, like they're slightly dangerous when you're crossing through this. Maybe have some like steam or whatever coming out. I think that will be nice. But the general idea is that you have this room, you get in, you cross the bridge, and then on the left side you have an exit, which in the game will be like, let's say you have the bridge here in the middle, and then you turn here and you exit this level. So yeah, that's pretty much. I think that covers most of it. And oh yeah, he also made this really cool anti-slip material. I think it works pretty well. And he's been working on pull edges, trying to assign different materials to different things in a way to make sense. I think he's making quite a lot of progress. Of course, eventually you'll want to have like a draining system and all of those things. But I asked him to wait a little bit. Try to finish the room layout a little bit more before we get into just like the minute details and whatever. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all there is for on this room. Oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention: modularity. So we've been discussing this with Joaquin, and this entire place is has a weird shape, so we won't be able to make everything modular. But I think that some things might be able to be made, at least at some point reasonably tileable. So my idea was, for example, that we will have like a cut here on this corner piece, and then you have like a straight piece, and what you can do is like extend this horizontally, or maybe just take these straight sections and extend them so you can make a longer pull. If you want to make something like that in another place. And different things like that. Of course, there's a few limitations, like on this S piece. I think that it will be easier to just like make a cut that contains the entire thing, and the same goes for this section. I'm not sure exactly how much we can realistically uh, turn this into a modular piece. Maybe like make a cut here, sort of like a big square section here, and then this little chunk, and then you can extend this. But yeah, the point is we will be able to extend the length or width of the poles, but we might not be able to completely change the layout of the most complex things. Like this pole here, you can see it on the concept too. It's like it has a really complex shape with like different levels and whatnot. So I'm not sure if it's entirely possible to turn this into a completely modular piece. I'm not sure if we'll be able to turn it modular at all. Actually, maybe make a cut here in the middle so you can like extend it further. But that's pretty much all of what I can think of that can be done. But yeah, this is also a really nice tile material. Um, Let me see if there's anything else I haven't covered. But yeah, I think that's most of it for now. And I'm quite pleased with this, and I think it's coming along really well. And I think it's really cool to have most of the levels layout already done, because now we can get a pretty clear idea of how far off we are from finishing this level, for instance. So yeah, I think that's that. So I'm going to switch to my room now. All right. So there's quite a lot here to show. I will go over the different assets I made in a moment. But before we get into that, I wanted to show you an animation I've been working on. So here you can see the crane, and let's just look at this. All right, so this thing lifts the cloning pod and then just sort of takes it away. I want you to take a look at the animations here in the corner. I'm actually pretty proud of this. So yeah, I've been thinking, putting a lot of effort into thinking these sort of industrial machines and how they work. And as you can see, I'm missing the the hole in the wall right now. So currently, it's just going to go through it. But let me just reset this. All right. So, well, I was hoping I could just show you. I actually really like this asset, the crane here. Well, let's just switch to game view. Um, I've been trying to add, details and make it feel more like it's just a piece of machinery, really, as something that people use and have, things that make sense, and try to think more about all of these different mechanisms, and like how this thing is going to operate, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I wanted to explain the idea behind this and how it works, because of course, like everything with this game, the idea is to make everything modular. So what I was thinking about was how to create a way to make these sort of complex animations that involve several objects work, and still be able to maintain the modularity of the level. So what I came up with is a system that's quite simple and doesn't, well, it's not simple, but it requires no scripting on your end, so that's pretty cool. So the idea is that you code, so to speak, and everything on the animation. And sorry, just a moment, hold on. The room here. And here, okay, so these are the what's this called? Sorry, animation controller. That's the word I was looking for. All right. So the idea is that you basically control the behavior of these items with the animation controller. So what I did, for instance, is on this pod, I created an animation that is just the pod staying there without moving, right? So this screen here, and each chunk of rail is 2 meters long. No, so the animation to move from one end to the other takes 100 frames, right? So what I did was add animation to the pod that is also 100 frames long, and it's just the pod staying there doing nothing. So let's see the pod and animation controller. And where are you? Have so many things. Here we go. And no, this is the arm. Sorry. Where's the pod animations? Here. All right. So here's the entire sequence for the pod itself. So at first, it just waits, and it plays the 100 keyframe animation where it's just staying there. It plays it again, and enough times to give the robot arm time to reach its position. From there, the animation goes back to the activation phase, where it pulls up and everything else. Then it goes to the pull up animation, where it's taking upwards, and then it continues the process. Continuing to move straight towards the exit, and then towards that 90-degree turn, and then of course it continues going straight, so forth and so on. And the only consideration I had to do to make this work is that you need to manually edit the transitions, because by default Unity is going to attempt to interpolate both animations. Like at the very end of the animation is going to take a few frames and then blend them with the few first frames of the next animation, and that screw up with the timing of this thing. And in order to get everything to work and everything to activate at the same time, I needed to have the animations play exactly 100 frames, and then the next one 100 frames, and so on and so forth. But all you need to do is set the exit time to 0, and it just works. And of course, I had to make, well, I screwed something up apparently by messing with this, but whatever. Yeah, look at that. Well, thankfully I did this on play mode, so it's not going to get completely broken when I. Well, let's just fix it. All right. And the idea is, of course, that every object that is animated is going to have the same sequence in the same order. So, these little cables here also have the same sequence where they wait enough times, and then they have the animation where the cables are being pulled. Also, I really want to add, like steam and things coming out from there. And this little arm here also has the same system. And yeah, and it's just ideas to build things, and of course, if you want to make this railway longer, you can just add more stations where the previous items are just waiting for it, and in theory it should work. So I don't know, I think that as a proof of concept it's really cool. It allows me to do complex things without having to bother you, and I don't know, it was pretty nice. So I'm hoping that I might be able to use this system elsewhere, like maybe go back to the industrial area and do things with the robot arms and things like that. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So let's see, what else? And oh yeah, I wanted to show you these doors I made, which I quite like. I tried to maintain sort of the industrial feel of this entire level. And I also made an animation for it, as you can see here. I've been trying to work on my props and trying to focus on two different aspects. One is to improve uh, the texture quality as much as possible, and also to try to make them just more clean and more professional looking. Like, I'm trying to pay more attention to things like bake errors and things like that. So I'm hopeful that it will show, and it will help improving the quality of the game. So as you can see here, I managed to make a script with a trigger that opens the wall, but I haven't been able to make it close when I get far away. But what I would like to have maybe a script that does it, but I didn't really want to waste a whole lot of time with just something that is going to be a quick preview for you. But not really something that we'll use in the game. And we also have this, like these little props here, trying to add things that feel more useful and like things people will actually use. And actually today I just finished working on this asset, which is in the concept actually. It's sort of like a server. And let me pull up the concept bar here. So it's this piece over here, and also I work on these walls here, which I'm really happy with how these walls turned out. I've been working on ways to try to make things as modular as possible. So these walls are split in a whole bunch of chunks actually. So you have like this piece underneath here, this wall section here, and then you have this other chunk here, and these sort of edges that we have around here and are separate pieces that also are cut in the same places. So you can do a lot of different combinations with this. And for instance here, instead of just having one wall, I added two walls, and then I put a decal on it with the room's logo. And I think that with just one wall asset, I managed to get a few different variants for it. So I think that's pretty cool. And here you can see that I just reused this wall up here and just sort of turned it around, and just with that I managed to get something else that looks different and also appropriate for the room. And yeah, So let's see what else. Oh yeah, I also made these floors here. I actually really like this one in particular, and just trying to improve how things look and trying to make things look like they have. They're there for a reason other than just be a random sci-fi panel in a floor. Like trying to make things just make more sense in general. And oh yeah, and of course this little platform here, which will be the control room for the pods. And I'm still missing, these little assets here, like this little holographic projector and the computer terminals. But I will be working on those next. But yeah, I think this place also has come along pretty well. So I think that's all we had to show this time around. But I don't know. I think that we managed to make some really good progress, and I hope you're happy with it. Let's see what else I wanted to add. So on my end, what's left on this room? Well, I need to do the ceiling because right now it's just made of out of recycled parts. I wanted to make something that looks more unique to this level. Of course, I need to do the entrance and exit hall for this rail system. And let me see. Sorry. And there's a few other props that are in the level, like these little boxes. We have these covers on the walls and a few other things. And also, if you have any requests or additional ideas, um, looking forward to hearing them. But for the most part, I don't know. I feel like other than those things, I'm not sure if this room needs a lot more. Um, but let me know. What your thoughts are on this room. What you were expecting the players to do in here. So maybe if you want to have like a little extra area here, another room or whatever, I can work on it. And yeah, I think that's it. So whenever you have the time, let us know what you think, and I hope you like what we managed to do this time. So as usual, I want you to have a great weekend, and that's it, man. Goodbye.